Okay, we're good now.
Okay, so everyone is at that one.
Did you get the visitor from Sunday Street? There was no.
No. Okay. We reconvene at 7:31. No visitors. Okay. President's report. Ken Budget will be here tonight, he'll be out of town, so, he wanted to apologize for not being here, so. Other than that, anything else, superintendent's report?
Okay, I have two items. The first one is, we were the first district in the county, the Portage County Sheriff's Department requested late in the spring, early summer, to get live access to our cameras on campus, so they can remotely log in case of any emergency situation where they can see the campus real time. We were notified today that we were the first one, along with Brickstown, to get online already. So just so you know, I think that's a testament to Matt Dockery, Pete Negron, to have the foresight and the ability to make that happen with, in terms of technology in the Portage County Sheriff's Department, how important it is for our safety. So the deputies are able to log in now in real time. And I think that's a great asset to us. And the partnership between us and the Portage County Sheriff's is huge, and we continually are grateful for everything that they do to make this a safe environment for our students. So that was the first item. Second item, we have been going through Jason training, or Jason learning, that you heard about in the board retreat. We had training last Thursday, and we had training this Thursday. About 45 of our staff members have participated, and that's pretty good out of 80. We've had great success thus far, and the teachers are starting to gain mastery of that. And we have a third training session that is scheduled for October 16th on the Waiver Day. Jason is actually sending, Jason Learning is sending a representative from Virginia at no cost to work with our teachers one-on-one. These first two sessions were webinars, and they were interactive webinars. We were on the phone, we could see the trainers' computer desktops. So I think that that's exciting to see where we're going. The Akron Beacon Journal was here today taking pictures of the training. There should be a full article tomorrow in the Akron Beacon Journal, and they were able to talk to me, teachers, and they also interviewed the vice president of Jason, which is Eleanor Smalling, who I've been working with. So that should be a great asset to us. So look at the papers tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. We should be getting, people are getting, the news is getting out that we are going to be the model district for Jason Learning, or this STEM initiative. So that's all good stuff for us. I also wanted to tell you, that's item 2. Item 3 is in the way of transportation. We've spent a lot of time talking about transportation over the last month via the board retreat and through weekly updates. So Fran spoke to you on the board retreat in August, and she didn't get through her full message because of the tight time schedule we were on. Remember, Mr. Corey shut down the meetings, Mr. Corey, so we could hear everything that's going on in this Craven High School. Fran followed up with communication to you guys in a full letter that covered everything that she didn't get to in the board retreat. In that time, since you guys have reviewed it, I have spoken to the OPSI president, and through Mr. Munger, we have reached out to the OPSI rep, which is Bill Padsack, to talk about how we can move forward in a fact-finding kind of initiative to see if we can arrive at a true understanding of what's going on with transportation, positive, negative, in between, and see, just to really take a pulse and see where we are since we made the big decisions in the past for years of going to one route and how that's impacted us. You will notice throughout the agenda, there's some changes in the bus drivers. So there is different things that are in play. We really need a better understanding to see how we can move forward. So I reached out to Brian to see if he would be interested in developing a subcommittee. I didn't come to you guys yet about this because I didn't know where he stood. Mr. Munger, as OPSI president, and Bill Pasek both would be in agreement to have a fact-finding subcommittee. Before I propose this, it should be explicitly clear that this is not negotiations.
I was like, can we do that with them without?
We can, but it has to be clear that we're not negotiating. We're trying to understand transportation and Waterloo, any limitations that we have, and try to brainstorm about where we see this moving forward, but not negotiations. So Bill Pasek and Brian Munger said that they would be, that would be a good idea. I would propose to you that I would like, we're allowed to have 2 board members sit on the subcommittee. So we would have, I would propose 2 board members, both Mr. Munger and Mr. Pasek, if he wants to be a part of it, which I think he does. That's 4 people. Myself, Todd, Mr. Carpenter, and Frank. So right now we're at 6. And then I would recommend 2 bus driver representatives to be a part of the committee. So 2 bus drivers, us as 2, Fran is the transportation supervisor, 2 OPSI representatives, Mr. Munger and Mr. Pasek, and then 2 bus drivers. So it would be 8 people. Is that right? 8?
No, not.
9 people sitting in subcommittee to discuss, really unpack Fran's letter, really what I'm looking at, and have a chance for Mr. Carpenter and myself to bring Mr. Carpenter's financials, and look at how it's impacted the bottom line, and just sit and have that conversation. But we can't have negotiations.
We can ask questions like, how many bus drivers, how many type supplementals, how many are aides, how many, we can ask that.
How many routes are filled, how many are vacant, how many are subs on. All of that stuff would be laid out in its entirety to try to get a real picture of what's going on and compare it with other years. And then probably my intention would be to see, my goal would be, where do we go from here, kind of topic. So that's what I would propose. And I would propose, if you're in agreement to that, I would like to get something set up before the end of the month. So we can have.
Like, how do we do that? Does Brian do that, like, after he gets off his shift? Or do you do it while how does that work?
We could, if we're negotiating, we could do that during the day. So we could give him a sub so he could be a part of this conversation, but we're not negotiating, so it's clear.
Right.
But I would be okay in lieu of timing if we did it during the day to get Brian a sub so he could be a part of this conversation. I think it's really important.
Are there certain times in the month that Brian does different jobs that
I could
get subs, you know what I mean?
I say we propose a day. I go to Mr. Munger and say, this is what we're thinking. Does this work? He gets back to us. If it doesn't, then I'll start communicating with the group and then the individual respond to me about what days work.
And where does this Bill Patterson, where does he come from?
He is the OPSI rep, so.
Where does he live?
Deerfield. He's nice and close.
So he's close.
So that's in a nutshell, that's what I'm proposing. So I need to know, 1, are you okay with the subcommittee? 2, who would be on that subcommittee from the board? 3, what date would you propose? Okay, so yes.
There should be a pen on this, he's dealt with transportation. Not that you guys don't, but, but maybe you can't, I don't know, work-wise.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, I have correct and understanding that you are okay with this creation of the subcommittee.
Definitely.
And right now, Diane and Vicki have volunteered with the question then should Ken be a part of it because of his experience in this area? Would you like me to reach out to him to see if he has an interest in that? Share that with you guys?
It's a question. It's up to you guys. If you guys want to be on it, then he's not here, he doesn't have to say it, so if you guys want to do it.
I just figure I don't have anything. I do it with the military deal with our transportation
Oh, good, okay.
I would say right now, let's just keep
Yep, let's
the
just do
two
that.
people on there.
That way we can get started quickly.
Right. And then 3, let's pick a date. So now I'm going to look at calendars and when it would be most conducive for you guys. And then we'll talk to Mr. Munger to see what he's looking at. But I don't think we should just leave it open. I think we should have something in mind, and then at least give us a starting point.
I just have one comment though, as far as the bus drivers. Personally, I think it would be best to have, like a senior bus driver that has a lot of seniority, that's been through all the things that we've been through with all the changes.
So
And then it might be kind of nice to have someone new that's coming in that's looking at the fact that most of them are only being on for 3 hours and how we can change it. How we do
So
something.
that's a good idea. So the bus drivers that would be representative, we're asking for one to be of high seniority and one to be a newer replacement, so we can get both.
Sure, because I mean, we don't know what they're thinking when they're applying here, so, I mean, if that's our problem is getting new bus drivers, I think that might be a good way to get some input on how we can make it look more attractive to them.
So let's look at schedules then. So
I am free except for the 19th, 20th, 21st, those days. Are we looking at next week or the following?
I'm thinking the 22nd or the 29th.
You just said you had something on the 22nd, when you were in your office.
I do have some numbers. It's kind of crazy, so I want you guys to give me a date, and I'll just.
22nd's a Monday, correct? I'm good with that. I'm good.
Okay, so why don't we do, we could do, you want to do midday, so it's in between routes, or do you want to do after routes?
What we do after,
Um,
we could do midday for me, it just has to be afternoon, anytime afternoon.
Okay, so maybe we do it,
you don't want to be limited in time. Well, I mean, you are, but you're.
then I say we do it early afternoon then. So I say, if the
You
routes,
mean like at noon?
no, I'm saying like 4 o'clock, and I'm saying,
Oh,
is that gonna interfere with you with one better?
no, no,
Not
no.
on Monday, I'm pretty open on Mondays.
So I'm thinking like a 4 o'clock, and we can adjust that based on whoever the drivers are. If we need to move that back a little bit to accommodate for whatever routes they're doing, I would be happy to do that. But why don't we shoot between 4 and 5 on Monday, the 22nd? So that's 9:22 between 4 and 5, and I'll work out the details to make sure that everybody can be there. If that schedule does not work, then I will,
We just said, Brian, we talked about getting the sub for him.
yes, we won't have to get us up for that, because that'll be after. So we can, get that done, and then I'll email everybody, so everybody knows what's going on. I'll talk to Mr. Munger tomorrow.
If we have that kind of subcommittee, do we have to pay the employees, do we pay the employees for their time on there? Does that work?
I think it's a volunteer basis.
Okay.
If you want to be on it.
So we'll ask them if they, okay.
But I think the expectation would be it would be a volunteer. side.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to verify that we were doing something. Make sure it's clear right up front.
I think that's good. So the 22nd is what we decided, right?
Between 4 and 5, depending on which bus driver is correct.
Okay. Do we have any more? Well, let me just do this. So yes, we're okay with this subcommittee. Diane and Vicki, 9:22 between 4 and 5. The purpose will be a fact-finding flight, for lack of better words, to determine transportation at Waterloo as a whole, so we can get a full picture and understanding of how we need to move forward to meet the needs of our first responsibility to our students. And I anticipate that at that meeting, then we'll determine do we need more meetings. And then we would report back.
I said, can you report back?
And say the 3 of us would then report back in the October meeting about what we have. Okay. And if we need more time, we'll say that. We need another meeting. Does anybody have any questions on that?
That's good. I think you'll be more than one meeting.
I think so too.
I think you'll be a couple.
But I think we should figure out how that plays out at the next meeting. Okay, that's all I have on this.
Just one thing, we need to add the addendum, which will go under consent agenda, superintendent items S through Y, as you have in front of you, and we also need to add letter Z to deny the grievances presented by WEA on behalf of Tiffany Hyper on procedural grounds for failing to follow Article 27, grievance procedure, as well as the merits of the grievance.
That's all I have.
Z.
I have minutes in front of me. I did not attend the last meeting that we had in August, so I do have the sheets. That's all I have.
Thank you. That's not here on legislative. Does anybody have anything that jumps out at them you want to talk about?
Just the capital conference is coming up in November.
We did get confirmation on hotels, so we're all set for that. We moved over, we were at the Crown Plaza, now we're at the Hilton right attached, the Hyatt right attached to the conference center.
We haven't gotten packets on that yet, right?
We just did hotels last week and
Right, yes,
last week.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it from town.
So we're in a good spot, but you won't really have to go with the bridge anymore. We're right here. And that was just like.
Okay.
I know where that is. Not, I don't care.
Just anybody have anything on these business?
See what Brandon.
This isn't really new, but it just, all of a sudden, it just flew right in my head. Sorry, I try not to do that, but, went last month with the guy from Marlington about being paperless, that what, I know you said
Yeah,
you,
that's a good point. So what I did was, I reached out to Joe Knoll, and he said that they're using Dropbox. Dropbox is a free app, and the board members are getting iPads, and the board purchased, I guess the district purchased iPads for them, and are using only Dropbox. He wanted to meet with me one more time to talk about it and actually see how it plays out, but he has not reached out to do that for me. Todd showed me a webinar that I registered for today on board docs, which is something that we heard about at Capitol Conference. And I'm gonna, it's October 16th or something, and I'm going to watch that webinar, because I want to have a free version and something that's not free and compare and contrast. So I'm hoping that by the November meeting at the latest, I'll have some kind of recommendation for you about how we can go paperless and what's the best route for that. But I will tell you, it would certainly save on things.
I think the board box was a company that I had contact.
It was really cool what they could do.
It was really neat.
The paper really cool.
I thought it was pretty expensive, kind of expensive. I had, that Word program, that,
Dropbox.
Dropbox program on mine, and it's free, and you can put up to like, I want to say like 10 gigs. And like, what happens is we would set it up, and then you would give us permission to go in and set up accounts and download stuff off, permission to download those particular folders, every time you put stuff up there. And then we get an email that says, hey, Matt Montgomery's loaded stuff up the Dropbox for you, and then we would go in and access it. And then if we sign up, then in turn, if we would all sign up for it, then you get increased size on the master Dropbox, if you will, master file, so you're 10 gig or 20 or 30 or whatever.
The only thing that Joe didn't really expand upon yet was how he then, does he still make paper copies for the audience, or does he show the screen and then have it up on the screen so people can see. Those are things that I know with Google Docs, that's how they did. And I think they had an app where you could actually sit and read it on the audience. So I just want to do a little bit more investigative work, but that's where I am in that process.
Maybe go, maybe we can do it through Google Docs. I don't, I know that I have an iPad with the Dropbox and it works. I get files that are too big to send, I just put it in that Dropbox, I send them a link, and then I give them permission to download just that file. So, and you can set up folders and stuff like that. The thing you have to do is you just have to be careful to put things on there and then eventually, rotate it off so that you don't get too big. That's all.
So I did talk to him and decided for what on that is in the process.
If you want to tonight after we're done, I can show you that.
Thanks.
As long as you have internet access, we can do it.
Anybody else have anything in new business? Okay, on the consent agenda, do you have anything you want to point out on this?
So the original agenda that went out, we separated two items for board business underneath the treasurer's business. Those are items that were on the original agenda. We just moved them to a separate category. I will also tell you that you'll notice that there's lots of movement happening in terms of cooks and playground aides and dishwashers. The cascading event that's happening in the page right now. And that's reflected to see people that are designing and then accepting these positions. So I think that with this, we're not completely set on staff. We're almost finished with that. I think we're not. Because things can always change. You will notice that there are substitutes that are listed and assistant tracks and potential members that are under I. J, okay, so J is the Children's Advantage and Waterloo Partnership. Those are the counselors, mental health counselors that come in and service the students who are struggling with, I don't say mental issues, I'm going to say, different trauma that's going through life. Maybe a mental health professional that is beyond the scope of what we can offer at school. They come and offer services here. It is, I wish we could have double the hours. It's really good for us. The kids really benefit from having that trained professional that can go a little bit deeper into what they might be experiencing. K is the MOU, this is the first MOU, and that is between the WEA and the board. That changes the contract to say minimum hours as opposed to minimum days. That's really important, and WEA was really helpful in that because that allows us to have more control or autonomy on our schedule, and we are not bound to waiver days and waiver day applications and snow days. We really have, as long as we met the hours, anything in excess is we can do essentially what we want to do. As long as we're not shortening the work week, so you can't send kids to school 4 days a week as opposed to 5. There's still some parameters, but if we have 5 snow days and we go to 6, that's okay now. So it gives us a little bit more control. And with last year, especially your superintendent and 10 snow days, I really feel about having this control. I'm hoping that's not going to happen again, but who knows with this crazy Ohio weather. So that's really important there. Then I would draw your attention to I want to go to the addendum. In the addendum, there's a second MOU that's really important, and that's talking about evaluations. And the evaluations for certified and staff, in that's what the ORC was changed to say that we could evaluate accomplished teachers every 3rd year, skilled teachers every other year, and that MOU allows that to happen. The WA was very important to making that decision happen. And I'm really happy that we're in that spot. There will be a 3rd MOU, just so you know, probably for October, if not sooner, where it will talk about the forms that we will use for those non-full evaluation years. So if it's not a full evaluation year, the staff still has to be observed, and they still have to have a post-conference, but the forms can change. We're gonna streamline that and make sure that that is clearly laid out in the contract so everybody knows what the expectations are in the forms we're using. There will also be changes to percentages that's mandated by the state. For example, category A teachers are now 50% teacher performance, 50% student achievement, whereas this past year, they have a little bit of a break. Next year, or this school year, coming up, they do not have a break, it's 50-50 for category A teachers. Our contract needs to be amended so it's reflective of what's in line with the ORC, so we have to do one more MOU to finish that, and I think we will be done then, the contract will be in order for the evaluation process for 2014-2015. This changes in the legislation that impacts the contract, and then we have to have an agreement between both party members. So that is the last thing I would like to draw attention to under the consent agenda.
And W is St. Joe, correct?
W is St. Joe, that is an auxiliary textbook clerk. The person that was doing that retired, is that correct? Retired, we're a little detached, but we're still responsible for hiring the staff that is employed at St. Joe's. Jackie works at St. Joe's in other capacities, so this would just be another role. Any other questions for me on the consent agenda?
No.
That's all I have.
Okay, now a motion to accept the consent agenda with the addition of the addendum and letter Z.
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Whittlesey?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Wrong.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, now a motion for adjournment. Or no argument, the meeting is adjourned at 7:59. What is it? 7:59. Thank you all for coming. It would be nice not to hold this. Hold it here.
I'll tell you what. I like the agenda.
And
That's streamlined the meeting.
I know, that's what I'm like.
I'll find out, you're gonna have to sign. I don't know if the.
Yes. Yes.